It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We're live for day 2 of the closed EU qualifier for DreamHack Masters Stockholm. I'm Vince. This time, though, I am joined by Hugo, and we're going to be casting Space Soldiers up against Ego here on Cash. First of 3 maps. Winner of this will progress through to the lower bracket finals, and I'll meet either 3D Max, which is kind of a Belgian-French hybrid that just got picked up, or Heroic. But Hugo, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. I'm excited to be here. Only stepping in for one best of 3 today, but I think, to be honest, this is one of the better games that we have had so far. So I'm excited for this one. And while it would look, at least on paper, that the winner of this should be going straight through and getting a victory, you know, to that, of course, DreamHack Masters, I'd say Heroic have been looking decent recently, so assuming they can take their win versus 3D Max, we can have a bit of a fun one. But we are straight into the pistol round here on Cash, the first map of this best of 3, and it is Space Soldiers pick, so no surprise there. AGO all over that A bomb site, and they just beginning to rotate back in. Space Soldiers not waiting for the bomb to go down. Instead, they're going to be challenging quite heavily, and that's not working out for them so far.
Yeah, they have managed to scavenge a bomb out of the scenario, but a 3-on-3 retake, and there is a kit in the hands of Engine. And yesterday, Space Soldiers are pretty consistently solid in pistol rounds, but Snatchy puts the Glock to the forehead. In fact, it's a P250, pardon me, to the forehead, and that's going to leave just Engine and his lonely defuse kit. Grubby's having a bit of a mare, but finally gets the damage done, and Ego will claim the first blood here in this best of 3.
That's a bit of a weird one for Space Soldiers, right? Typically, when you see full A plays like that, with Space Soldiers not having a man really committed to the site, you would more commonly set up for a retake. You know, you have that kit player on car playing a headshot angle and just go in once the bomb's down. But Space Soldiers, they look to contest quite early, and yeah, it didn't quite work out for them. So AGO kicking things off. They've got rifles coming into the second round, as you would expect. We've got the force from Space Soldiers. Pretty prominent team on this map as well. So I'm sure they're going to be ready and waiting in the wings here with these CZs. A heavy A setup as AGO look to take a bit of mid-control themselves. The Space Soldiers, really no information towards that part of the map, so giving it all away. This is going to allow for easy splits up that highway or in through the vents. And with the bomb working its way outside of B, it may be that latter.
As you say, they don't want to make any huge mistakes. Zantares with his Desert Eagle, he's going to claim the first kill in the round. He did have a bit of an off day yesterday, had some glimpses of what we know Zantares is capable of, but especially in that final best of 3. At one point, I think he was 10 for 25. That's really not a scoreline you'd ever expect to see on a player of his caliber. Now he's moving through the vents. He's got a Glil and looking to spray down some heads. It's going to be Grubby that gets in his way. Will be punished alongside Tau and Space Soldiers, only losing Calyx with basically all pistols and Kevlar. That's a phenomenal round, and Ego just get completely destroyed in terms of their finances.
Well, I think Zantares has woken up on the right side of bed this time, Vince. He is he's looking ready to game, ready to play, and Calyx, the only man to go down. He didn't even invest as well, so I don't think that's really a problem there for Space Soldiers. They're going to be pretty happy with that start, and AGO are going to be the ones forcing now, but the exact same buy pretty much from Space Soldiers. They've retrieved exactly the guns that AGO brought into that previous round, so you never know. It can always flip. We can have force by wars, and AGO do have Deagles heading towards our A site, so can be dangerous once again. But Space Soldiers running a very passive setup. Paz back towards the cars, Antares in the highway with support from Engine. It's a retake play again from Space Soldiers, but let's see if they're comfortable with letting that bomb go down, or if this time they want to contest it as the push comes through.
You know, another Ego put pretty much all their money into this round, so bomb plant wouldn't be the end of the world, as long as they don't concede too many weapons. Grubby, close range of the CZ, puts down Zantares, turns his attention to Engine, gets 2. That's a phenomenal start, and with the bomb planted additionally, this is going to be a rough ask for Space Soldiers. Getting back onto the site against CZs and Deagles, not the easiest of options, but they do have 2 incendiaries here, Hugo. This retake is possible. Oh,
they force out PHR and do a lot of damage, but he slips back into main. That's a big problem now, as AGO still hold the man advantage. This bomb ticked very far. Molotov does force out these 2 Ps at the back of the site, but the kills have to come through fast, Vince. They need to get on this bomb. It's left to Paz in a 1v2, and when he finds that first, Tao is just playing the defuse. He's not committing to the fight, not committing to the peak, and it will be the round won by AGO. Force by wars continue, and even though he goes down with the bomb, I think the Polish are going to be pretty happy with that result.
Oh, they'll be ecstatic. That was a round that, especially once that Molotov landed onto quad and they got the couple kills, you thought, okay, well, this is Space Soldiers' round. They've got a really good chance at this now. But very, very well played by Tao at the end. As you say, playing the time perfectly. And Ego will be back in with a buy. But so will Space Soldiers. As a result of the saved weapon that they had, I think it was Paz that was able to skimmer away and keep that in his hands. It is pretty much going to be all or nothing in this round. Both teams leaving very little in their bank balance.
I mean, this is already starting to be the back and forth affair that we expect from this series, I would say. I'm thinking a 3-mapper can come through here with the way that these two teams have been looking recently. We've had AGO on a bit of a tear. You know, while getting grouped in the last 2 DreamHacks, they did have a run at a Star Series, and that was kind of exciting to see, getting some wins versus teams you may not usually expect. And while Space Soldiers have quietened down a little bit, we did see that fantastic game against SK back in Brazil just a couple of weeks ago. So going back to another A play for AGO in this rifle round. I say rifle round, they've only got 3 of them, a couple of SMGs as well. In fact, less than Space Soldiers, and already a trade going on up into that A site. But the mid-split is going to be the real problem because Groovy's dropped Calyx. This now opens up the highway. They can split towards that A site where only one man sits. Major's dead, and it's just Santaros.
No longer. It's just Engine remains against 4 of AGO's players. 2 of them very low. Maybe could do a bit of damage if they decide to hunt them down. Again, the issue could start to come into play for AGO. I think they'll be relatively happy to just keep things at a stalemate from here on out. Nobody on the server currently has any kind of money to fall back on and replenish a weapon. So yeah, keeping a UMP or as far as they're away, could even be an M4. Just the one M4 is fine. It's unlikely Space Soldier is going to get any kind of purchase behind this. They're going to be weak in the next round. Oh, Tao, why would you do that? Why? You've got 7 health.
I can't believe you've done this.
That is the correct meme right now. With a slap to the face.
Oh.
And as I was just talking as well, that means that Tao's going to be on a worse buy. Maybe he'll go for like a Mac 10, assuming that Space Soldiers won't go in for a force. But seriously, man.
You can't go for a force here, though, if you're Space Soldiers.
No,
that's typically when the force buy wars end. When one team gets 2 in a row, that's when you just call a defeat. You just call an eco, because Space Soldiers now know that they're going to have enough loss bonus next round. $2,400 coming through. It will be just enough, with about 4,400 into the rifle round, which you can get an M4 body armor, smoke flash, you know, or a variance of that. But for now, it's just default pistols and that saved UMP. A stack up on that A site where AGO have prolifically been attacking so far this map. And it seems like history will once again repeat itself.
With so many players in close proximity, maybe a chance for Space Soldiers to get a kill or 2 with USPs, but it's very unlikely. But here comes Engine with his UMP mowing through. Tao and Snatchy finally does get laid to rest, and a bit of damage has been inflicted. But from here on out, USPs against assault rifles should only be going one way.
And that just shows the value of that one flashbang that Paz brought up. He throws it into main, allows Engine to get both kills. Yes, okay, the round may not be won, but with a $200 investment, they took a lot of rifles away from AGO and just dented that economy that little bit. It can go a long way in the future, but for now it is, of course, the Polish to reign supreme. 4 rounds on this T side, rifles in for Space Soldiers as we expect. And a little bit more utility for Engine because of those UMP kills. So that's always nice, although no kits here. And considering we've been seeing Space Soldiers continually play retake setups, this lack of kit could come back to haunt them. They need to make sure they definitely have players committed to the A bomb site, otherwise AGO may be having another round under their wraps, because, again, it is the A site where AGO set up early on.
Absolutely, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, and that could mean that Space Soldiers do play more aggressive as a result, which we're seeing Engine do. But he's by himself, no one else even close enough to lend a hand or get the avenging kill. So Paz now going to have a quick look over the corpse of his comrade, but he will fall the same way. Tao first-class headshot, partially through the highway box. And that leaves Calyx and Major completely isolated from one another, pretty much 1-1 formation. So if AGO just stack together and push aside, they should be golden.
They're holding off for a moment, and wise to do so, because Calyx is looking to push up a little bit. If he gets a bit too aggressive, they might be held for him, but instead they walk with their backs turned up towards that A-bomb site where only Major sits. Right now, this is always a difficult round to play for Space Soldiers, because you either get to commit both towards a site and then, you know, play the 2v3 or save if you're on the wrong bomb site, or split up and just hope that you have a huge individual play. Major's going to need that here, as Calyx is only just getting out of that T-spawn. He's a bit of a while away, and we've already talked about the lack of kit. Major's going to have to deny this bomb plant at the very least to allow Calyx to rotate in. So here's the push. He hears the footsteps. They don't know he's here, but the Molotov going to force him out. 1 kill at the very least, but does he check his left? It's a no. Tao drops him, and while he's delayed to allow Calyx to set up for this retake, he's still got to be fast.
He certainly does, especially as no kit. But he is getting close enough. The bomb's been dropped out. Calyx now with the spray. He is going to get the 2-on-1. And Space Soldier's going to get the job done. I cannot believe they actually just pulled that off, Hugo. I thought that was a foregone conclusion.
I don't know where that bomb plant was. Where's the bomb plant for AGO? They spent so much time clearing out the site. If you get a kill onto Major in that position and there's no instant trade, you should be under the assumption that the site is clear and the Space Soldiers are playing a 1-1 split. Calyx would have instantly repeaked to try and trade his teammate if he was on the site. So, yeah, a big mistake there made by AGO, but it's not going to go too badly. They still got enough money for another buy, but the problem is Space Soldiers are on this board and in with their bucks. Calyx is on that AWP. We have full rifles as well. This time a kit, thank God. But AGO looking to switch up the pace in towards this B site they set up. They've still held a bit of a default over towards A, but I wonder if this first presence on B, we haven't seen any of it before, will convince Space Soldiers that it may actually be the commitment.
Yeah, that smoke going on the ice of Major is going to give them pause for thought, keeping both Major and Calyx interested. Engine, who was originally in mid, is now moving around from connector. So they are transitioning out of position, but geez, Foil's just been wrecked through the wall, down to 24 health. And that's completely clean damage too. Space Soldiers taking nothing in return.
Can't complain about that one. Awkward part is Furlan's kind of stuck here. No utility to get him out of position. He's just got to commit in the checkers. Push really coming down to mid, though. Zantares, he's going to be overwhelmed. That's Snatchy finding another opener. Although no AWP, he's still finding effect. And while Major will trade down towards that B side, dropping Furlan from that early damage already done. AGO, they want nothing to do with B. They're going to split A. Paz already dead, and Space Soldiers up on the car, but they are getting run over. AGO finding the kills required of them. But just like that, Major's going to turn it around and drop the bomb. It is retrieved, but Tau cannot cross towards the site. He needs a bit of support. The smoke misses, and Major finds an angle. That's another 1v1, and he's looking for the last man up. 3 kills currently, and he spots the 4th, but PHR runs away.
That smoke is shocking. If they end up losing this round, it's probably off the back of that smoke. Major, in the meanwhile, 28 health, and PHR will not give him a chance up on Catwalk. So decent hold in the end for AGO, a destroyed economy for Space Soldiers, but it's another one of those rounds, Hugo, that could have been wrapped up nicely by AGO, and instead, it was way too close for comfort.
Yeah, I mean, definitely so. Good job from Space Soldiers actually finding a couple of kills on the flank. That was pretty much all Major there, coming in through the connector and also dropping Furlan down in those checkers. But yeah, very, very awkward round considering AGO seemingly had the site under control after killing Paz. Either way, a round is a round and they're going to be happy with it. But Space Soldiers getting reset for the second time this map are forcing up. Nice Molotov. PHR going to burn his teammate, but Groovy forced forward and does land the shot regardless, so it's not a big problem. And in fact, Groovy, he's on a tear here. 3 kills into that site. Dear, oh dear. What is going on?
This off the back of Space Soldiers forcing because they're in double eco territory. It doesn't get any easier for them. Zantares, though, with his Desert Eagle, will put a couple of bullets down range into the body of Furlan. Could retrieve the assault rifle from his corpse, but considering it's going to be 6-2 behind with Space Soldiers likely onto an eco, this is already getting into very dangerous territory here on the CT side. This could spiral out of control, Hugo. I mean, if the next rifle round, Space Soldiers can't convert it, you're looking at potentially double digits for the Poles.
Yeah, it's starting to fall out of control, considering this is Space Soldiers map pick as well. And I mean, Cash is a map that we just know this team to be great at. I'm a little bit worried for the series. Although Train is coming up next, and one thing I would say that is favorable between these two teams is they have a very similar map pool, right? They both like Cash, they both like Train. I think Mirage is a map where you can see both these teams have a bit of success as well. So, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but this is definitely not a good sign for Space Soldiers right now. Saved a couple of guns here for the CT side. Talking of money, AGO is starting to build up their buck. Already 3k sitting in the bank of pretty much all these polls, apart from Furlan, who's down on a Mac 10. But this is going to be the chance to make some money.
Absolutely. A chance for him to farm himself some frags. But with a Glil and a couple of Deagles, one of which was passed over from Zantares to Calyx, you still have a bit of firepower that AGO needs to respect. Can't get too carried away and push in and lose their heads. In the meanwhile, 2 players stacked on the site. At the back will be Major and Engine. with two of the weaker weapons that Space Soldiers have. Calyx has been spotted and try to return fire and connects the Deagle headshot, looking to bubble up, but he will do so to PHR. It's going horribly wrong now for AGO. It's a 3-on-2, and now suddenly it's just on Furlan, who's got the MAC-10, the weakest of the weapons. And he's against two players with Kevlar, which will soak up and absorb those MAC-10 rounds. And Tares playing Possum in Vent is going to take a bit of nade damage, but he's okay with that because positionally he's set. It's very hard to see how Furlan can clutch this 1-on-3.
A big effort needed, but he has the time for it at the very least. If there's any consolation here, he's desperately looking for a 1v1. Space Soldiers extremely passive. They're just waiting for someone to make contact before they all swing in onto him, and he's busy checking that flank, making sure no one's coming from behind. Paz won't spot him as he just moves forward, but the smoke fading on the site gives him a bit of an angle to find Major. Paz peeking in with it. Xantares drops in, but it's a double peek from Paz that finishes it off. To Space Soldiers, they don't keep that many players alive, but they do win a round that really should not have been theirs. So fantastic work from them. AGO still able to buy up, but Space Soldiers keeping this game close. It's so back and forth. Neither team can really get it rolling with more than 3 rounds.
Yeah, seesaw of Counter-Strike continues, but what you would normally say in these kind of confrontations, when it is back and forth such as this, where the CTs can't get consecutive rounds, eventually that will catch up with them, and they should come out behind well and truly at half-time. Engine is going to try and pick up the pieces, and PHR and Snatchy will be late to rest. So will Grubby. Looking good for Space Soldiers this round. Looks like they have recovered somewhat. Last player's Tau, they may not expect a double stack on the squeaky side, and that may allow Tau at least 1 kill. Should be silenced after this.
Whoa!
Oh my god, they line up and he knocks them down. How are Space Soldiers potentially conceding this round?
He's even got a smoke as well. Does try and make the cross, but only fakes it out. Now it's the mind games. Does Calyx commit towards the highway, or does he move back up towards the car? Tau doesn't care. He just hides below the shroud box. A very uncommon post-plant spot because he's not going to be able to commit to that bomb fight. Although assuming Calyx isn't going to stick it, there is no kit in play just yet, but one on the floor by the forklift, he is going to go and pick that one back up and just desperately clearing everything. He can't find the angle. Smoke on the bomb may convince Tau to peek, and he does just go straight for it, but Calyx is off, and Tau is on. 4 kills and the clutch found. AGO, they're going to win it.
What a brutal body blow that's got to be, Hugo. We were just talking about how Space Soldiers, they can't get consecutive rounds. They can't get momentum. When they win a round, they're constantly getting wrecked, economically speaking. That's a tailor-made, perfect opportunity. That was a 1-on-4.
Yeah.
They should have won the round and had 4 weapons and been able to build their bank balance. Instead, they're 7-3 behind on a 4-spy, and this half could go completely down the toilet if they can't get around soon.
An opportunity wasted here, and Space Soldiers again forcing. Big surprise. We've seen that the majority of this map already. 2 rifles, 3 pistols. I'm not great at maths, but I don't think that's very good. AGO definitely going to be favoured, although there are certain limitations to this T side because of how back and forth it has been. But when it comes down to rifles, they are going to have the power. In towards middle this time for AGO, though. Space Soldiers giving it up. They don't have the utility to really continually smoke or molly off that boost and garage at the very least, but instead AGO making a bit of presence down towards B. Groovy's shown his face in the vents. We've got a man in the checkers in the sunroom as well, sorry, and AGO are going to bring the bomb outside. So while they fake down highway with Furlan committing with a bit of utility, trying to sell this fake, the real push coming onto that nearly FPV site.
It's down to Paz with his Desert Eagle. He's going to pass his first test, but there are 4 more to go. And 5 if you include a bomb plant, which is forthcoming from the hands of PHR. Back right at the site. Well and truly open. Multiple angles to watch out for now for Space Soldiers. And I feel like with their funds being this poor and 2 M4s in their hands, I mean, surely you just set up for exit frags and go back into a save. This would be lunacy. This would be suicidal if they went in for the potential retake.
Typically, I wouldn't even say it's worth going for exits, but if you look at the money of AGO, because of how back and forth this has been, it's totally worth it risking a player like Xantares, who only has a deagle, to actually go in and do some damage. He only finds 1, but if he found 2 there, that would have meant that AGO wouldn't have kept at least 3 players alive, and therefore don't make a net profit on the round. So now that is the case of Major dropping Snatchy, and the bomb will even take down a further player. So, hell, it's, again, a bit of an awkward spot because Space Soldiers are 5 rounds down, but at least they're keeping the economy honest. The question and problem being, yeah, you can do all the damage you want. If you're not winning the rounds, you're still going to lose the map. And that seems like where it's going right now for Space Soldiers. So we need them to turn it around. One more eco coming in through for the Turkish, and the next buy needs to be Sublime, or this may just be AGO's to take away.
It is definitely poised in a precarious position for Space Soldiers at this point, looking to try and traverse through these dodgy rounds, these dicey situations that, to be fair, they put themselves in a few times. Paz goes aggressive into A main. Understandably, when you have two M4s, you do have to try and make some desperate plays, and it's not always going to work. Egg smeared well and truly on his face. Just the one M4 in the hands of Major. No nades and a Desert Eagle for Engine. So, I mean, AGO, they must be getting a 9th round here. I cannot see how that won't happen. Maybe Major is the man. He's at the back of the site with the aforementioned M4, looking to scurry through the smoke, but Tao is there after opening the door. Oh, Engine with 2 pretty tasty 1-digs. So at least keeping AGO down a little bit in terms of having to replenish more weapons, but as expected, it is a 9-3 lead.
And now here's what we've been waiting for, Vince. The rifles are here. We've had a real lack of AWP play this map from really both teams. Calyx has brought it up once, but if we already look to AGO, we look at that star AWPing power on Snatchy. Without a doubt, the best AWPer in Poland right now, in my opinion, at the very least.
Agreed.
Yeah,
yep.
He's just not needed it. He's just not need to pull it out. There's no AWP to counter. They're doing well enough for rifles, so that's always scary considering you've got Train as a pocket pick coming up next, and we haven't even seen him, go off. Space Soldiers, though, employing a boost this round. Zantares is up there in middle, but they are watching it on the other end. PHR ready and waiting, so Zantares is just going to hold his breath and chill out for a second. Considering Major's also pushed up into main as well, this is a really good contact play. Major's spotting for them to go for the boost, and if they eventually do so, that's when Zantares can at least make his presence known. And it might be now, but Furlong was so ready for that, and the second as well. Major gets a dink, but it's not enough.
Oh, Major, so close to getting all banged. He's stuck on the lockers. Can't afford to peek. It could be a nade flying his way for all he knows. Now this is allowing AGO to perch themselves up on boost. Again, I went back to that play earlier about the desperation. And I think that AGO realized that's the case. They know that Space Soldiers, they've tried defaults, they've tried everything. Nothing's worked, so a boost was probably coming in. Flashes used to counteract the A main push. But Space Soldiers now only have 1 flash and smoke to use, and the smoke has just been dispersed. Engine close range could be the last line of defense, and he's gone down without so much of a fight. Paz also falls in amongst the flurry. Calyx with 2, but surely no more, or at least not right now. Bomb plant comes into play. AGO, odds-on favourite to take a 10-3 lead.
And what a lead this is as well, right? On paper, this should be Space Soldiers' game. Well, definitely a close matchup with AGO certainly making improvements recently. Space Soldiers are typically the kings of these kind of qualifiers. They have looked so good recently, so what a surprise. But not at all to take it away from AGO. This has been a great map so far, and it looks to only continue in that way as well. Calyx is given up. He's thrown in the towel. He's run towards middle. AGO should be exiting together, and I don't think we'll even see so much of an exit here because Calyx is already deep inside of the garage, and AGO don't really need to hunt this one, but hey, I'm sure they're feeling confident enough with this kind of scoreline. So 10-3, money still not built up for either team. AGO now have about 6k left in the bank before buy, so that's nice considering we only have 2 rounds left. They're not going to need to eco. And Space Soldiers, talking of eco, well, I'll probably be forcing, but this is not the money you want on round 14.
Certainly not. And most of the times you're not going to force this kind of funds, but again, it's really the numbers that read at the top of your score that matter now. Currency not that important in terms of money. They need to get rounds. They've got to get, I would say, 5 rounds, maybe 4 they could snake away with if they get the second pistol. But I think the timeout is called, like, what are we going to do here? What's the play? Additionally, do we go for a force? And the answer's pretty much been given. It's going to be a no. You're going to go for some CZs, 5.7, Deagle alongside the M4. But they need to do damage. I would actually say they probably need to pick this round up because AGO have looked so incredibly good. And their CT side is also solid. It doesn't get any easier for Space Soldiers.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Space Soldiers even went for this reserved buy as well, right? Considering they already had a rifle to buy round. It's fair enough, but the problem is, with these kind of rounds, you typically stack sites or go for crazy plays, and therefore they've left B open, and that's just where AGO are going to charge through. Absolutely no fear on this Polish squad. The B site is open for business, and they are going to be getting that bomb down pretty early on. So Space Soldiers, everything playing against them, not one bit of utility or a kit, Vince. I think this round's over.
Yeah, definitely would go alongside that. Plus, because they have gone for still some Kevlar, and they have the very real possibility of not having a perfect buy next round, it may even be worth just setting up for exits. See if we can get an AK-47 away from one of these players, maybe two. Obviously, it is a superior weapon to the M4. See if you can run with that in the 15th round. But yeah, in terms of this round, it's over. There's no chance. They're not going to have any kits to go and try and ninja with. It's done. It's a done deal. So pretty rare to see all 10 players alive, potentially at the end of a round. But it looks like we're actually going to get there now.
Yeah, and no one below 50 HP as well. Not bad. AGO are going to be happy with that one. Space Soldiers now. At the very least, right, they you know, half invested last round. They can just basically top that up, you know, throw a rifle on it, get some utility. This is, in fact, if I'm right, the best buy from Space Soldiers we've seen all map. Considering every round they've had has been reset. So they've never actually had proper full buys. And now they've at least got the ult with some nades behind it. So that's ridiculous to say that, considering it's the last round of the half.
That's very true. This is the best buy that we've seen. It's one of the first times we've seen Major with an AWP, and Grubby straight in. Calyx has been bested, and B site is gone. Again, they didn't play a two-player stack. They went all in on Calyx, and the timing there for Statue is pretty rough as he pulled a nade out, but then Torres is going to get traded out instantly. The player advantage remains in the Polish hands, and it's just not getting any better, is it? Space Soldiers, they have to retake a 3-on-4.
I've got the kits and the utility, but not the manpower. Engine dead in the vents. And with that, the boost coming into heaven, but it's a small consolation in otherwise lost rounds, surely. They've got to go for it, but AGO are ready and waiting on the other side of these smokes. Space Soldiers throwing in everything they can hope, but they can't land the shots behind it. Major with a no-scope, but it's too little and too damn late. Although, there's a second one. Major, what's happening here? He spots the third as well. Isn't able to force the kill, and the peek comes out from Tao. That will cover his teammate. Good team play from AGO, and fantastic half, can I say so myself. 12-3, giving up basically nothing, and Space Soldiers not getting a foot in the door. This door might just be slammed, and they're going to be sent to the hospital with a broken toe.
May have to be amputated, Hugo. That's how brutal it's been. They are just being shut down with authority. And, you know, back in the day, maps like Nuke, 12-3 wouldn't be a completely out of the question sort of scoreline. This is cash. This is one of the most even maps in Counter-Strike currently. Some people would even edge with T-side, and they've just basically got smashed that hard. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is a Space Soldiers that I honestly haven't seen for a while, where no one's really finding their mark, but I also don't want to take anything away from AGO. Those guys played exquisite CS.
Yeah, it's been like AGO have been pretty much the rising team, I would say, in the last like 6 months. They've gone from, you know, no one having even really heard of a couple of these players. Obviously, we've got some older guys in there, but you know, going from complete unknowns to getting deep runs in top tier events like Star Series. You know, this has been a bit of a road to recovery. Not really a road to recovery, just a road to improvement from AGO, and they are not stopping here. They want to qualify for DreamHack Masters Stockholm. They want to get there without too much of a fight as well. With a 12-3 half, they probably aren't sweating. So second pistol round coming through. Lots of nades for Space Soldiers, so clearly a set piece up their sleeve. And an early B-site play as well. Let's see if AGO are ready for this.
It's pretty much do or die for Space Soldiers. They lose this pistol, they already have 1 foot out of the map. And with this being lower brackets too, by the way, if they lose, they're out. So this is their last line. The last hope. How does Statue survive that?
No idea.
He's got 3 or 4 players spamming at him with Glocks and the Molotov underneath him, and he landed a headshot on Centaurus and knocked him down to 20.
And they spotted 4 players there. So now you can see Space Soldiers haven't committed off their back of that play because they've all been seen. So AGO, they've taken deep map control. They've rotated a 3rd man in the vents. Ruby's pushed up in main, but he does get dinked up. So that may now tempt Space Soldiers to go for a rotation. They leave Engine outside of B with the support from Calyx still with a smoke to set up for what I assume to be a fake. And in fact, AGO is still committed with 3 players here because AGO have backed off towards a passive A setup. This could actually work out very, very well for Space Soldiers if they play their cards right, all because of this B fake that's about to unfold. So bomb going in through Squeaky. Only 1 man committed to the site. PHR going to move in, and actually Furlan's dropped out of that vent. So now AGO definitely have a bolstered A play, but let's see how this goes.
Yeah, it's all about keeping these two players interested while the rest of the team push. But A is stacked as well by AGO. They're going to have players around quad. They need to get some kills right here, right now. Zantares with one. Is he going to be counteracted by PHR? 7 health remains. Bomb still going to get planted in amongst the rockers. And PHR intelligently is waiting for the rest of his team to move in. Snatchy is still on B side. He is miles away from the action, but now Furlan is going to barrel down on the site, claiming heads. Matron Paz gets swept aside. And this is a round that surely Space Soldiers had to have in their back pocket, but instead the bomb's going to get defused and Calyx can do nothing about it. The collapse is well and truly here.
I'd like to draw the differences there between the first pistol round and the second, in the sense that both of them were A bomb site plants with a man advantage to the T's, except the difference is when Space Soldiers were on the CD side, they ran into that bomb site and got completely dumpstered before the bomb went down. But in that round, AGO, they fall back, they go passive, they allow Space Soldiers to plant, and they move in as a unit. That's how you should be retaking the A site. It shows the differences between these teams right now. AGO just playing better CS. Space Soldiers looking sloppy here, and this buy is sloppy as well. The bomb plant came through, so they're looking for that third round purchase. It's a Deagle, a couple of P250s, a couple of Glocks, and a whole lot of nothing, really, for Space Soldiers. As AGO going to be armed to the teeth with these rifles and SMGs, and just waiting for the mop-up to come through.
Nature really showing why and proving a huge case as to why many people view them as the best Polish team currently out there.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, there's no debate. It's not even close. They are the best team for me, as far as I'm concerned. But I know some people have their gripes. Maybe some people are a little bit delusional, living in the past somewhat with VP. But they have just looked unbelievably strong. And Space Soldiers, yes, they haven't got really rolling. Yeah, there's a couple players, and Taras in particular, that you're expecting to see more of. But AGO have just been that good. Grubby, in the meanwhile, has just smashed Zantares down to 12. And with that information, it stands to reason there's probably going to be more players backing him up, but Calyx is going to take the head off Grubby. Maybe there's a few more twists and turns left on this map just yet, or perhaps not, as Furlan is laying players down left and right. He's actually on for the ace. It is going to be Ensanico, but he's got it done. M4A4 ace. Too easy for Furlan.
4 headshots as well. These are all just burst shots. That was a single clip as well. Tap, 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 and 14 rounds taken. Dear, oh dear. Well, this is Space Soldiers' last try and last buy into this game if they can't get rolling on the T side. This is kind of where you would look to Space Soldiers. T side Cobble, T side Cash. These are the halves of the maps that they find most success. But in this kind of scoreline, I imagine they're feeling pretty crushed. Furlan looking to just crush them himself as well. He's gone from the ace in the previous. He's kicked off this round and he's pushed up towards B. 3 players here for AGO. The smoke down and they can just rotate because they know Space Soldiers have to hit A.
Yeah, that information is so vitally important right off the bat. No mercy being shown, no prisoners being taken. AGO will slaughter Space Soldiers once more. It's not completely guaranteed, though. It is going to be a post plant. It's a 5v4. There's not too many grenades for Space Soldiers remaining, and there are 2 incendiaries. So, sure, it's going to be a difficult ask, but these kind of holes can go the way of the terrorists. It's all about timing, you have to feel. Engines decide to back off into main. He's going to wait for a potential rotation. Furlan is the man, but he's actually becoming on the squeaky side, not A main. That could actually screw with the terrorists as Paz goes in for a double spray. Now they need Furlan to show up, and it's into the embracing arms of Paz, who's gone in for a 3K. They will live to fight another day. They keep the dream alive.
I'm so surprised they even get away with that, with AGO being so ready for that push to come through. But great work from Space Soldiers. Finally doing some work here, and it's been a long time coming. The problem is, Vince, when you start to pull a bit of a comeback, and maybe it's, you know, an 11-4 half, and you have pistol, and, you know, you've got a bit of a leeway, got a bit of a buffer. Space Soldiers don't have that buffer. 1 failed round, 1 mistake, and AGO are going to have 15. They're going to have OT secure. 2 mistakes, and the map's over. So Space Soldiers need to be absolutely flawless here for the rest of the half. Definitely easier said than done. 12 rounds needed here from the Turkish if they want to fight this pre-overtime. So I'll believe it when I see it, but at least for now, they've got a 5th ahead of them with AGO having minimal, if not 0 investment. It's only that Zeus on Tau, and that's optimistic at best.
Indeed, I do like the AGO have gone for this, though. Like, they're playing for the longer game, as you say. They've got such a buffer of rounds. They're not going to start to worry too much until I think we get 10 or 11 rounds of Space Soldiers. then they may start to get a little bit nervous, but that's a long way off. It's important for Space Soldiers, confidence-wise, but also their economy, their finances, and the momentum, just to make sure they don't lose any weapons in this. So I would say keeping all 5 players alive is pretty solid. Xantares is on for the ace too, by the way, but scumbag Calyx going to take it away from him.
It's all about those anti-eco aces. We've had Furlan do it. We've almost had Xantares do it. It's nice to see that he's now starting to find his footing, because again, you said it earlier, he had a bit of a rough day yesterday. And although he kicked off this map with some great shots in that second round, winning the Force Buy for Space Soldiers, so far he's been pretty quiet. But top of the board now, 16 kills for his team. And 16 rounds going to be needed here for AGO, but it won't come in this one. It is just going to be, again, this minimal investment, the double ecoing, a bit of an investment in terms of CZs, and this one MP9, but they're giving the round away by and large. Space Soldier's going to have their chance to get again on this T side. Nice spray through the smoke. Xantares is dropping 1, PHR down to 40, and Space Soldier's certainly looking towards that A site after that.
Yeah, there could be more players here, especially now they've just seen a grenade detonate from around Forklift from the trajectory, but they are going to be playing this one very slow, because there is a mind that 2 ecos in a row at this kind of stage may not be guaranteed. Neither will be likely. I think now that they've seen a couple more players, they know it's just going to be pistols. No longer as much of a concern. They can look to push their will in. PHR going to be spotted by Engine. No shenanigans today at the back of the site, and that will leave Tau. And I don't think he wants to keep this MP9, so it's not necessarily the end of the world if he does end up dying, maybe trying to go for one of these AKs. The fact is they've been saving so they can have a really solid buy in the next round. MP9 doesn't really fall into that category. That's why he's chasing these frags. There's one going to his name. Can he get a second? No. AK-47 will prevail in the hands of Engine. 14-6 though. Space Soldiers 3 in a row.
Are we going to see the orb? That's my question. Yes. AGO just pulling it in. First buy round. They have Snatchy on that AWP. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen this. And Space Soldiers don't have an orb to counter it. Although they've got the money, they maybe have not made this assumption that AGO will be pulling it in. Again, we've already not seen it, so that is a fair assumption to make. But this double eco is only allowed for a very, very strong buy for AGO. Kits, utility, no incendiaries, can I note, but it might not be a huge problem if they can find those early picks. Got Snatchy on that A bomb site sitting at the back of the site with 2 players in the highway supporting as well. So still AGO don't want to concede mid too easily. Furlan is also in the vents. And Space Soldiers, they're completely set up outside this A bomb site. No information as to whether AGO have gotten aggressive on B. So they're very lucky that that hasn't come through. But Furlan mollied out the vents, has got to fall back. And that is now going to start to make AGO question whether this is a B play or not.
Certainly, and they have to also worry whether mid control is being assumed by Space Soldiers, because the only player they had watching it was Furlan from Vents. They originally had 2 players in Highway, but they've now moved back too because they were smoked out. So there are going to be a lot of question marks for AGO. They're not entirely sure. They have no information. Whereas previous rounds, they had likes of Furlan pushing around the back of B, getting towards Useless and Garage. This time, they have to pretty much just sit deep and hope for the best. They've heard Squeaky open, though. They're going to have a pretty good idea as to what's coming up. Major Pop flashing his way out of Highway. He's going to instantly tap onto Snatchy. That AWP has proved to be completely useless in this round, at least. Grubby comes back with one of his own, but there's Xantares. And Space Soldiers seemingly are going to start to shift through the gears. This is an invigorated, a resurrected Space Soldiers, what we saw previously. But don't count AGO out just yet. They're still in this round. PHR not quite able to get a second. A double stack on Forklift will make him a dead man. And Tau is the last line of defense. He's going to get spotted, though. Sure, he gets the kill, but it's at great cost. And I don't think he's interested in even going for this anymore.
I mean, that's all coming down to the miscommunication of AGO, right? You said it yourself. They had no information. They're playing passive. PHR's up in that connector. But because they don't have that mid control and that highway's open, Snatchy's just sitting open watching main. It's a free pick for Space Soldiers that never should be going the way of Space Soldiers, assuming AGO know that their highway's open. But that was Major sneaking in through mid very early on in the round, and it does pay off in the long run. So good map control from Space Soldiers and nice shots to be hit as well. It's going to be a 7th round here on this T side. The comeback is starting to come into fruition. We're still a long way away from victory. Space Soldiers really didn't seem to have too much effect on these kind of rounds. Apart from that second one after losing the pistol, they've been silent the first half, and AGO, so far, a very similar story.
Beautiful pop into Peak, onto Furlan. I guess what was the most surprising to me there, Hugo, though, and I think we were both watching the same player at the same time, because I heard you kind of sigh in despair at Snatchy getting wrecked from mid. Surely if you have no mid control, why is he stood out in the open backside of quad? Completely vulnerable. It doesn't really make any sense.
It's the miscommunication of AGO, and it is going to come back to bite them. They can't afford to continually make those mistakes against such a world-class team like Space Soldiers. You are going to be punished. And nice shots from Xantares and Paz this round. They've cleaned it up without too much of a fight. That solo saved rifle from Tao has just been held on into the checkers, and I don't think it's going to be seeing too much action, at least for this round. 8 on this T side for Space Soldiers. And I'd say, again, one big difference here for Space Soldiers is these rounds on this T side have not been all close. They've been confident rounds, Vince. Look at the money being made for Space Soldiers, and look at the players being kept alive in these rounds that they are winning. We have, almost 16k on Paz here. This is a very different story. When AGO were in their first half, it took them, a good 10 rounds or so to actually build up an economy because it was so, close in these rounds that they had won. So there's always, light at the end of the tunnel for Space Soldiers, a silver lining, I guess, in the cloud. But can they continue this comeback? We've got the double AWP in for AGO. We've got one towards B. That's Snatchy. Tao locking down middle and some aggression in A main to start things off.
Xantares needs to be careful. He doesn't get too aggressive because with the double player stack, he would be a dead man, and for some reason just shot his teammate. Why not? The downside for that, though, for Engine is now he's in the one-tap range of the M4. It typically does around 91 damage. He's on 84 health, so that actually could end up being significant. I should also mention in the last 5 rounds, AGO have only got 6 kills. Only 6 Space Soldiers players have died in the last 5 rounds, and that's why you're seeing this phenomenal economy taking shape.
Ooh, PHR. He's going to get wrecked through the walls. Xantares might even spray and finish his job off. He needs to get the hell out of main. Does not want to stay here. They're trying to at least sell the commitment to this boost, right? If you spot 2 players in main, there's no way you're going to think there's a third up close on the boost. AGO playing very, very aggressive positions to take the distraction and take the attention away from Space Soldiers. But they are very aware of the potential of a B flank. Calyx is watching the back line, and these players are still up in main, so definitely going to be an A play here for Space Soldiers, but they are running out of time as it ticks down. This AWP sits to lock down middle, the second down on B, so these AWPs are not really going to have as much effect as they would have liked in this round, unless Space Soldiers change the game plan. At least they are down highway, but Tao's ready and waiting. First shot connecting, doubling down is Tao, and Space Soldiers now want to fight back with a 2-man disadvantage. The boost finally coming in, and it is a slaughterhouse for AGO. 3 from Furlan, and AGO going to find 15 finally.
Very well played by Tao, and judging from where the 2 players were running, if they're going to go B, you don't have 2 players run towards highway next to highway box. So as soon as Tao sees those players, gets the kills, they know it's an A hit. They can set up accordingly. They don't have to rotate anyone out. They're not going to get caught in transition. And Tao was everything in that round. I think he was perfectly positioned. Great shots too. Excellent play. And now 7 map points. For as good as Space Soldiers have been the last 5 rounds, therein lies the issue with having a horrible first half. It only takes 1 mistake and you've basically lost the map.
Again, they're so against pulling up this AWP despite spotting one in the previous round. And if you spot an open Tao but you don't see Snatchy, you've got to, at that point, assume that there's a double AWP, right? Space Soldiers may be coming into a bit of trouble here in this second half, as we predicted. Again, a heavy A play for AGO. Look at the commitment we have. 3 players on the site. Another man in highway, making sure we don't have this late mid play that we had from the previous round. And Groovy's up close on the forklift. The position that's already been mollied. They may not check this, but Paz is going to spot it out. Doesn't matter. Groovy's doubled it. Snatchy's grabbed the kill as well. And it's only left to Calyx.
1 of 3 to save the map. The choice of Space Soldiers, or we're heading to train at a 1-0 against them. Calyx with the first. Out goes Grubby. Very aggressive on the peak, looking for info, but be careful what you wish for. And Calyx does have enough time to potentially rotate to B, which is why Tao is now moving away from highway. And this is where Calyx can get it into 2 separate 1v1s. Another reason why that peak from Grubby, a little bit of a head scratcher for me. It is quite confusing. I believe he's made some noise on the forklift, pardon me, and PHR will spot him. So the map is going to go to AGO all the same. And a bit of an anticlimactic end there, Hugo. I was starting to believe that maybe Space Soldiers could take us to the limits.
I mean, it's what we said at like what 14-4 when the comeback started. It's so hard to believe when one team has 14 rounds because again, it's one misplay from Space Soldiers that's probably going to cost them the entire map. You can pull an 11-4 comeback, but 14-4 extremely difficult. So that will be Asia running away at least with the first one, and that's Space Soldiers map pick as well. So certainly worrying situation for Space Soldiers coming up into Train, but it is the map that they are prolific on. So let's go for a short break. We'll be back in with Train as that second map. You do not want to miss it, guys. Stick around and we'll see you soon.
Back with the ankle. Yeah, this should be impossible to do it. That's a nice flick, though. And he's got to find Hobbit off to the left. Oh! What is that flip from...
What if there was a DreamHack PC? What if we told you there is? This is the DreamHack PC, built with the best components on the market, optimized for a flawless esports experience. Just add games.
Welcome back, AGO. Lead 1-0, and now we move to their choice of map of train. Space Soldiers going to try and do what they can to derail this potential victory. If they lose, they're out, and it's all up for grabs. I'm Vince, joined by Hugo, and we're going to be jumping into this map very shortly. I think the restarts just came in, so Pistol starting off with the CT side being occupied by Space Soldiers. So, Hugo, we're hoping for a little bit more from Space Soldiers, because honestly, that was a really rough performance on Cash.
Yeah, especially that first half, right? We just saw nothing from them. 3 rounds, every single time was reset. We had a couple of close rounds here and there, but even situations that Space Soldiers were in that should have been theirs, 1v4s won by players like Tao. I mean, that was just a bit of a mess. So let's hope they can reset, come into this game looking fresh, and they are on the CT side, so that's definitely working out for them. But Snatchy wants nothing, or wants to give them nothing at the very least. Already a kill coming through, and yeah, with that, the round.
Especially as Major, really the only player that could have maybe had an impact on the approach, has been found out after landing the 1 kill into PHR. Grenade's not going to stop the bomb from being planted. And Engine, although he has a kit, that's really all he has going for him. And really, some players with a kit and something to play with at this stage may even think about saving. I know how crazy that sounds, but a defuse kit, $400 that you could take into the next round with some pistols behind it. And realistically, what's the chance you clutch a 1-on-4 retake? The A site is an absolute nightmare at the best of times to retake on. Never mind when you're up against 4 players by yourself. So I understand this save. It's not sexy. It's not too entertaining to watch, but I understand the logic behind it.
I have just crashed for now, though, so give me a second.
Oh, no worries. You're not missing much, Hugo. Just Engine saving in the corner. And he's going to be successful. So that is a defuse kit that moves through into round number 2. And we're going to see a scout and some CZs picked up alongside it. And although CT side, I would say, is favourable on train, many teams can muster up a hell of a T-half here. And especially because AWPing is so prevalent on the CT side, many teams will go for 1 or 2. If your economy is in bad shape, as we saw on that first map of Cash for Space Soldiers, this could be another nightmare. This could be another map that AGO run away with. And that is going to be in the back of their mind. So for the time being, Engine's going to be rolling with the CZ on ramp with the aforementioned kits. Major with his scout slap bang in the middle of the map on connector. And AGO haven't really given anything away just yet. They're sitting back, they're biding their time just outside of main. Going to be maybe lining up some smokes in the next few moments to try and crash onto the site with. And it's going to be Furlan to throw over a flashbang, allowing the rest of his team to force their way out. Paz, though, close range, has not been affected by any of these flashbangs. They're going to line up the CZ. Goes in for 2 kills. That is ridiculous. He's able to survive a bit longer, but now PHR is going to mow him down with a MAC-10. So even though the brilliance of the CZ come into play, is that going to be enough? Perhaps so. Zantares, he's landed a kill now.
And in the same way the Space Soldiers won that second round on Cash after losing Pistol, they may just do it again. Another shot from Major leaves Furlan alone and in the open. And while he may expect the player coming in from the backline, he did just spot Engine there. So there's the first kill. Still doable. We saw Space Soldiers throw away these 1vx situations before, and Furlan now has the B site open for the taking. Zantares rotating into position with the Deagle, may be able to lock it down, but he just moves into the wrong position. Furlan gets the cross, and he even sees him as well. Doesn't have to commit to the plant just yet, considering there's 30 seconds on the clock, but he waits to try and find this pick, try and win this 1v1, and he's spotted Zantares as well. He's got an angle, trying to get up close. Zantares is going to move out of position, and the flank finally should be coming through to save Zantares, but Furlan might just go back towards A. He forces 1 and the second, and oh dear. Furlan's going to win the clutch. Fantastic work, but I don't know how you lose out of your Space Soldiers.
Yeah, it almost looked like it took more skill to lose from that position and actually win. The problem there, though, for Space Soldiers is that Furlan, sure, he saw Zantares. He then moved to the left side next to the ramp, and he could hear the other player running into Pop Dog. That's why he felt completely confident to sprint straight into Connector without worrying about a second player showing up there. And you could see like the cogs turning in his head as to where he could move in. So that's going to be very disappointing for Space Soldiers. And even though they took 4 players down, this is now going to allow AGO against the full eco to replenish some of those funds that they just whipped out on. Statue with 2 MAC-10 frags, looking for a third. Going to get it with a Glock instead. And it is smooth sailing for AGO after a hiccup, after a real road bump.
And nothing Engine can do or say about it. Even with Tau outside of that Pop Dog, AGO should just be saving together. So I think we'll see a nice clean round here from the T side as you know, they're going to need really to kick off on this T side on good footing. Of course, when I say need, it's not in the same sense that they're down a map by Space Soldiers. Space Soldiers are the ones who really need rounds, but this T side can be difficult, especially against such a strong team like Space Soldiers. Although today maybe not looking up to form. And AGO exiting together, all back towards main and Ivy, no one going towards engine. A saved P2000 is really just an insult, to be honest, to Space Soldiers. Nothing he can do with that one. So the Viking can be coming through in this round, but we will not see an AWP.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that Snatchy didn't get any more money with that Mac 10, because that is an AWP fund that's now afforded him just that. AWP comes into play with some grenades alongside it. In the meanwhile, Space Soldiers, no kits whatsoever, no AWP, no incendiaries. So yes, they've got to buy, but this is pretty bare bones considering that we are now into the 4th round. That is going to be a concern for them, especially if AGO stall this a little bit and try and draw out as many grenades as possible from the CT side. So I feel like this is really nervous starting for Space Soldiers. No real foundations to which they can build off at this point.
Yeah, this buy always being a bit of a self-perpetuating cycle to just continually put you down to pistols. You've got to buy in this round, but it's never pretty. And so we rely on individual efforts where a situation where Space Soldiers usually come out on top, but so far not being the case. We have got Xantares in the connector. He's very fun to watch in that position, always good at rotating between the two sites and having his impact, but will he have it this time? It's a smoke down. Furlan does bail out somehow. 38 HP left on the man, and the flash is going over once again, but this time we have a double rotation, so Groovy, he's just going to get mopped up clean as you like it. 2 kills through the smoke. The trade comes in from PHR, but this is going to require a big effort to keep AGO in this round.
Effort that may not be available. AGO has spent most of their energy and most of their blood has been spilled. Xantares and Paz, last 2 players to chip in for kills, and that will be Space Soldiers. Welcome to the scoreboard. Better late than never. AGO have lost a player, so I assume we're going into a pause, unfortunately. But they will have enough for a buy regardless, so there will be potentially another AWP in play if Grubby with the likes of 6K drops for Snatchy, who was the player that dropped, by the way. So hopefully he's back shortly. But yeah, there's not too much to talk about in this second map. Space Soldiers, they had chances, they had opportunities, very similar to Cash, and they just let it slip through their fingers. But they had a pretty dominant round that last one. They only lost 1 player themselves.
Well, with no saved AWP from Space Soldiers here, AGO still not going to have that challenge to fight back against themselves. That's always nice. If Snatchy can get back in the server, of course, that's kind of what you would like. And to be honest, I think he really has been the star performer for this team in the last few months, right? We look at Star Series, we look at even their performance at the last couple of DreamHacks where they've only taken 1 best-of-1 win, and other than that, pretty weak. He's been the player to kind of rise through the cracks. Sorry, so yeah, it's definitely positive to see them on a map where not only AGO will be comfortable, but also kind of a breeding ground for Snatchy. Even though Space Soldiers have kicked this one off, if we think back to Cash, they did take 3 rounds in the CT side, but every single one was reset by AGO. So it's very important that they actually start to build up this economy on the CT side and not just get straight up put down to pistols, because with the money limited as it is here for the CT side, if AGO win 1 rifle round here, it's Space Soldiers probably forcing, but not with a lot to play with. So definitely dark times ahead here for Space Soldiers if they can't convert this first rifle.
Oh, absolutely. That could be them well and truly on the back foot after losing the first map. It's kind of interesting too, because with VP just kind of falling off a cliff in terms of how they are seen, not just on a sort of Polish level, but also on a global level, I feel like it has allowed some of these other Polish players to really come to the forefront and show what they're capable of doing. Players like Snatchy, players like Furlan, PHR as well has had a couple of crazy clutches in recent memory. So it's good to see that, although it sucks for VP, it does allow some other Polish players now to come to the forefront and show us what they can do on a global stage.
And one thing that's really cool on top of that as well is the second AGO started doing well, we instantly saw the organization lock these guys into 5-year contracts with I imagine a very high buyout clause, which, you know, for some teams may suck, but for this team, it's actually been really good. We saw recently, I think it was Tao in an interview say he's extremely proud how this team has kind of stuck together through thick and thin and made improvements without making roster changes, which most teams would do after having a bit of a slump. So AGO not looking to be bought out by a VP who are currently making roster changes after Snacks literally joined Mouse yesterday. So I kind of wonder what's going on there. I think, you know, the addition of Snatchy would be sick, but I also would prefer this team to stay together rather than join VP, in my opinion. But hey, anything can happen. VP do have the money behind it. And this round, AGO don't have the best of money. It's 4 rifles, but a solo CZ on Snatchy, so no AWP here and now. Space Soldiers armed to the teeth when it comes down to these rifles and plenty of utility to delay a push. Right now, AGO are setting up for early A map control as they pressure Pop Dog and Ivy, but no real commitment just yet.
A nice little Molotov thrown in. It just landed next to the entrance, forcing away the CT player that wasn't Pop Dog. So AGO can go in there if they so choose, but decide against it. They're going to focus their attention elsewhere. Very much split across the board, though, on the Polish side. They've got a couple players around Ivy, one of which is now going to start moving towards the spawn, which I believe is Grubby. Now going to pick the bomb up. Meanwhile, couple players moving over on B, one just getting towards the Pop Dog. Seems that their sights have been set on the B site for the time being, just with Tao on Ivy. Going to try and maybe run a fake, try and keep a couple of these CTs interested before they transition across to the B site, where a lot of them are biting down hard. Zentaris is one of them, tosses in a grenade, only does 3 damage. There's only 25 seconds left here, Hugo. They're going to have to go in.
And straight in with the entries. The trades do come right back, though, for Space Soldiers. Keeping this alive is Antares for only a single kill. The bomb going down now, and 2 players left on this retake, but Paz is quick in the back line. Groovy not going to be ready for that one. And PHR, we've already talked about his crazy clutches, but this one will be a lot to ask for. 13 HP. He might just catch the timing here, but no. Calix checks the corner, and that'll be Space Soldiers in with the retake, in with the round, and 2 on the CT side. We already said how important that was, right? AGO needed to, Space Soldiers needed to win that round, otherwise they would have been back down to pistols. And as a result of picking that up, even though there's a bomb plant for AGO, I would not say this is a good time to buy it here for the T side. They should go for a light pistol Kevlar and then save up for that next one.
Yeah, totally agreed. And I think they feel the same way. They're going to go for the CZs, an assortment of pistols. Tao comes in finally with a P250. It wasn't a terrible round, though, for HO. 3 kills is going to keep the economy honest by Space Soldiers, plus the bomb plant does afford them a solid buy in the next round. So if they can get some of these pistols roaring and ripping through heads, then it could be the longer game that really falls in the favor of the Polish side. MP7 for Major, going to be hoping he can farm some frags for himself, but in the meanwhile, it is going to be slow sailing for AGO. They're just feeling out, now moving into B, where Engine sets up with his M4 to lay his spray, but he gets it done for 2 kills. PHR, though, will claim the frag, and that will be another bomb plant. That is mission accomplished. Any kills from here on out is a nice, juicy bonus.
Yeah, the icing on the cake here for AGO, but Space Soldiers are hungry, looking to come back in with that big bite. Major's already dead on the rotation. We got Paz moving in on the site. PHR, just gets below him, but the spray's missed on the CZ, and Paz gets away with 2 HP. He'll be thanking his lucky stars, as this round is surely going to be Space Soldiers unless Groovy can somehow stop the defuse, but he's already realised it's over. The hope is gone. It's lost. And that's Space Soldiers finding their third. But we do have the bomb plant for AGO, as you say, so money can come through. Buy can be found, and we should have that AWP, and there it is. Already straight up bought by Groovy and thrown over.
Indeed. So 2 kills, additionally, with the bomb plant. Again, is keeping Engine down to $50. Just $1,400 on Calix. Economy good on Zentaris and Pans, though, so it's not as if they're going to have nothing left if they were to lose this. I do feel like this is a fulcrum point moment because AGO's economy is not great. They're going to have another roll. I haven't really seen much from Snatchy today. Wasn't really required on Cash, to be fair to him. And that grenade lands plumb on his face. He's knocked down to 62. Grubby's also been wrecked in the early stage of this round. So in terms of the early damage inflicted, Space Soldier's certainly ahead.
For now, that is the case. And still holding good map control as well. We've got Paz and Pop Dog. Risky with a solo B, but again, Engine's not really committed to this one. He can always just fall back and play a bit passive after he spots any presence. AGO trying to pressure this Pop Dog. And it's the same setup we saw in the previous rifle round just 2 ago, where they you know, put pressure on Ivy. They made sure Pop Dog was kind of a nuisance for Space Soldiers to hold on to, and then they went for the late B commitment. But that really was a desperation play. This time they might actually commit towards the A site, and even though there's 3 players there, I think that would be a better call to make for the time being. Although, as I say that, AGO moved their men down towards the B site, with the bomb still outside of main for the time being. And maybe just throwing in this late round fake, because there's 30 seconds left up, and they've still got a couple of smokes left, but now they're being deployed down into the B site. Furlan will run, but, I mean, that is just optimistic at best.
It really is. And the bomb's not really in a solid enough position to get onto A right now. It's like almost death by indecision. They went hyper-aggressive down ramp, had no player near the bomb at the time, and now, at this point, they can turn all their attention back onto the A site again. 10 seconds left. It's not going to happen for Tau. AGO, that is a head-scratching round.
I'd love to know the justification behind that play. It looked like they tried to go for a B fake, but I wouldn't even call that a fake, Vince. They threw a smoke and they run to their death. So, yeah, we'll kind of sweep that one under the rug and move on. Messed up round from AGO. Let's hope they don't show more of that on this T side, or things could certainly be difficult. A scout up on PHR, a few CZs here and there, but Space Soldiers finally finding their groove, and that's what we wanted this game. We didn't want, you know, AGO to just completely run over them like the previous map. And for the time being, this should be a 5th round for Space Soldiers. But again, AGO have been pretty successful for these plants down on B. With no one super up close committed to the site, maybe with a couple of well-placed smokes, we could see these Polish players get a bomb down.
Yeah, certainly good news for the neutral that Space Soldiers have shown up a little bit more so far on this map. But there's Furlan straight down into ramp with a CZ. The headshot delivered to Zantares. Bomb's going to get denied, but Engine's life is forfeit as a result. Paz comes through with one of his own. The bomb still hasn't been planted, but will be momentarily from the hands of Tau. Grubby goes aggressive, understandably tries to get in amongst the CTs and cause some confusion, some havoc, knowing that PHR is very low and Tau only has a CZ. PHR has been spotted. This grenade could be a touchdown. Going to land in the back pocket. No, it knocks PHR down to just 2 health. It shouldn't end up mattering a great deal because this grenade surely takes him off. And indeed it shall. Tau, last player left. There's a kill, but only 6 health. And the bomb is being defused. But once again, AGO, with just pistols and Kevlar, get kills, get the bomb plant. And that is a solid round.
Yeah, this is good considering we're early into the map. But again, if we look back to Cash Right, we kind of said this for Space Soldiers at one point. You know, they're doing damage, they're getting close rounds, but they're not winning the rounds. And that's what's important. So, yes, it's early days, so it's okay that AGO aren't winning them, you know, every single time. But they can't let this one go slide in Space Soldiers' favor and get 12-3 themselves. Now, at least they have to buy. And if they can get 4 kills or 3 kills with pistols, what can they do with rifles? Let's find out. AWP up for Snatchy once again. And he is up into main to start things off, going for that early boost. Space Soldiers, no AWP to counter that one. But again, as you say, we've just not really seen anything from Snatchy. Not that he pulled in the AWP in the previous, but let's hope he's warmed up and ready to play here. Pop Dog trying to be taken control of by Furlan. He does spot Paz. But for now, Space Soldiers don't throw in any curveballs.
Yeah, I mean, the sad statistic is that Snatchy's currently 004. He's had 0 impact on this match. Not even an assist. Major with the freest of kills. I think he caught Tau with his pants down and a grenade in his hands. Zantares onto Grubby. It's looking very good right now for Space Soldiers. PHR is able to get the 1 kill, but that's all that AGO have got out of this round. 55 seconds left. It was a frenzy of kills, so at least time is on the side of AGO, but everything else is stacked against them. And Snatchy, it seems, is going to have no impact once again. He's being flanked additionally. Major's coming around the backside, about to see the bomb. And that will be round over pretty much. So Space Soldiers, I've got to say, Hugo, definitely looking much stronger than before.
Yeah, just individually as well, right? Winning way more gunfights than that of before. We've seen Antares come to life as well on this map a little bit more. 3 kills in this round. And yeah, just nice to see from Space Soldiers. At least we're putting down that previous map to a bit of an anomaly, but Snatchy is catching a couple of exit frags, keeping that economy honest for Space Soldiers, but it won't go any further than 2, because the Turkish are giving him the right to say that, AWP, giving him a bit of respect after the damage he's done. So another round here for Space Soldiers, and AGO kind of wondering what's going wrong here. They've got the money to buy up around this saved AWP. That's going to be no problem for now. But it's not like Space Soldiers can't buy. They've already won a hell of a lot of rounds in a row, 6. So Money's going to be good, continually putting cash into these rounds until they can break the bank of AGO. And that's got to be here, or AGO are going to be back into this one with a couple of rifle rounds, potentially putting Space Soldiers down to eco themselves.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned this yourself when you said that, you know, with pistols, they're getting bombs, they're getting kills. What can they do with rifles? It just seems to me that AGO are having way more success when they play very aggressive. They almost have no fear mentality, and that's what we're going to see in this round. Very aggressive, out of A main, pass with one, and a second onto PHR, partially through the smoke. Tau, he's on the prowl and will connect one shot, nearly a second. Calyx needs to make sure he doesn't show too much of himself. Tau won't be getting any more damage done. And I thought maybe a fast play was the ticket for AGO, but they have been completely swept aside.
Yeah, nice play from Paz on the site and not overcommitting to those angles and just playing reserved. Only taking fights that he needs to take, and the 7-3 scoreline, the stars are aligning here for Space Soldiers. Again, pistols though, Vince, and let's see if, again, they can go and get 3 kills in a bomb plant, something they've been unsuccessful in rifle rounds, as you say. So down towards Ivy, they set up with 3 players. PHR is on that scout in main, and we've already got Tau kind of diving out towards a very ballsy approach to this round. And with Paz getting baited by the man in main, it could be good, but Paz is hitting his shots. Trade back from the scout with a bomb drop down Ivy as AGO look to try and cement their way onto this A site. They have allowed PHR to get out through main, but the flank from Xantares in through Pop Dog could spell disaster.
Calyx fortunate not to get killed on that first shot, but PHR will finish off the rest with the Glock. And once again, AGO having a bit of success with the CZs. Snatchy and his CZ is going to try and do what he can. Engine elsewhere has gone on to Grubby. AK-47 sprays on point. Major's not too high. Doesn't matter. Not required in the end. Space Soldiers open up a 5-round lead. And Hugo, that's 8 rounds in a row now to the CTs.
Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit more scary than I presumed coming into this map. For AGO's pick as well, they are really showing nothing on this T side. We've not seen really any proper set pieces, any strong defaults. It's been a bit sloppy, to be honest. They've been allowing Space Soldiers to just completely outduel them. It's not like Space Soldiers have even thrown in any aggression or any crazy setups. It's pretty default all across the board. Just good individual efforts from this team. Let's see if this is going to change here with another rifle round and another AWP pulled in for Snatchy. I feel like I kept bringing up his name with some assumption that he's going to do something, but right now he's still bottom of that board with Tower 3 and 6. Now should be the time that he starts things off, and he does look towards main. Already crept out of the A site, but this is a very dangerous position to be in, but he does get the best of it. 1 kill coming through, spots Calyx, and there's Snatchy coming to life. 2nd frag found, and Space Soldiers now have to pull something out of the bag.
Tau destroyed by Paz. And so although Snatchy had huge amounts of impact to start things off, is the rest of his team going to be able to step up to the plate and help him out? Grubby seemingly will lend a hand. Snatchy looking, hoping, praying that Paz peaks, but it's going to be Furlan that takes him down anyway. Engine now the last remaining player. So many times he is in these 1v3s, 1v4 scenarios. And this time there will be no clutch. So AGO, after 8 unanswered rounds, will find one. And you can see that how close to these rounds have been. Even after 8 rounds in a row, Calyx has 2.2k, Paz 3.8k, and Major only 4.1k. So yeah, they should be able to rummage together some kind of a buy, but it's not going to be great.
Yeah, a couple in a row for AGO could put Space Soldiers down to eco. And with that happening near the end of the half, we could just have AGO clean house, because that could certainly bait Space Soldiers into just forcing until the half is over. And I mean, an 8-7 scoreline, that's pretty damn good for the T side after all. So there's definitely, some light on the horizon. Or is that's not the same? Light at the end of the tunnel. There we go. We got there in the end. So AGO certainly not in the worst of worlds. And Major's actually going to be buying up the AWP here. We've not seen this since Cash. So Space Soldiers finally realizing that, okay, Snatchy, he got 2 kills in the previous round. Let's not let that happen again. If Major can be proactive in his AWP play, maybe he can catch this man out, who loves to play inside of that main position and just sneak his way into the A site. He does it so commonly on this map. But let's see. 1 player down on B here for Space Soldiers. Quad A setup. Paz close with the UMP and the Pop Dog. And this AWP is watching Ivy.
Actually, though, just able to walk straight out of main and get the kill onto Calyx. It looked like he may get timed out, but still flicks across to him. There just doesn't seem to be enough eyes on the A main side, so actually just walks out there. Furlan, though, has been put down by Paz. That's an important kill. to counteract the first blood going the way of the Polish side. That's going to keep them on their tiptoes for the time being. With Statue on 2, he can't really afford to peek too many times. The spray's not there for Grubby. And out comes Paz for a second and a third. His crosshair is on fire. PHR gets his head perforated next. And Paz is actually on for the ace if Snatchy dare peek him. Phenomenal play by Paz, single-handedly claiming this round for Space Soldiers at such an integral, important moment.
He's been playing so damn well this map. 15-8 right now. Top performer for his team. Who is Xantares? And Snatcher, he should just save this up. I don't think there's any reason to go for this one. You know you've got no loss bonus coming in next round because this is a reset from Space Soldiers. Maybe if he had 3,400 coming in, he could justify it. But what he has in his bank in terms of that AWP is worth so much more than the $1,400 he's going to get for going down here. So I'm not really sure why he's so committed to this one. What is he?
Actually, mate, bruh, come on.
Come on. That's
that? Is it maybe he was worried about being flanked and he wanted to die before time? That's the only thing I can think of.
He was just run out Ivy. He was trying to get rid of that other AWP, shoot it away. I don't really know, though. Like, I don't know why you would start shooting there. You have, like, 15 seconds left. Just hide. And there's just no, like, economically, there's just no reason to go for that because you know what you're about to get in terms of loss bonus is not worth what you can save. And the likelihood of you winning that 1v4 with, like, 30 seconds is so minimal that that's just a bad play, in my opinion.
We'll have to see if they can bounce back. That's a hell of a shot, to be fair. They baited out Major with the jump across from Tao, who's now been laid down by Calix. He'll finish off the rest. So a good start by AGO to get a 1-for-1 trade. But again, they really have lacked the penetration onto the site. You know, even when they've got the first kill, they haven't really done much with it. The fact of the matter is, in rifle rounds, they've only won one. That's it. The rest have gone the way of Space Soldiers over and over again. So I do still worry that even though they got that pick, does it really amount to anything?
Let's see if AGO can convert this one with a 1-for-1 trade coming through. Snatchy caught out in the open. Xantares hitting off a lot of damage here, but the trades are still in for AGO. It's still a 2-on-2, despite lots of damage done. 30 HP left on both these players, and Calix is about to find Furlan's number. There it is. As he punches in the digits, Furlan's gone down, and Groovy's the last man up with an AWP. Going full bog down in this clutch, but he's not got a lot of time to play with, and the Space Soldiers, they're just falling back to the connector, playing passive with a boost. Calix has a complete bird's eye view over this bomb site, and he's just going to be waiting for the plant to be attempted by Groovy. But coming down to the wire in terms of time, I'm not sure if he can do this. He's got to move fast, as he's got to find both these kills.
Calix only has 6 bullets left in his M4. So, I mean, he does not leave himself a huge amount of room for error. 8 seconds now, and Grubby doesn't seem interested. He wants to save the AWP instead. So he's peacing out. He wants no part of this. A 10th round will go to Space Soldiers.
And money is awkward, but a force will come through regardless for AGO. 2k on the bank, last round of the half. At the end of the day, 11-4 is not the worst situation they could be in, but considering how well Space Soldiers are playing right now, this could certainly become worse if a pistol round doesn't go their way. So AGO would really look to 5 here as they come in with another force buy. I think, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they won this. If they would go for a B-rush, we've seen how well they've done on these B-rushes before with pistols. Add on an AWP to lock down the post plant, and we could even have a recipe for success here.
Shortcut with Snatchy's missed the Citizen. Taurus comes out. I think he just twitched off him.
Yeah.
I have no idea how Snatchy missed that shot, but it does seem as though this B hit is going to be a disaster, as they're pretty much stuck. They're stalled. Tao can move through on A on his own. He's isolated from the rest of his team. Now PHR's going to come down. Groovy, the sacrificial lamb. Tao's going to go in for a frag, able to claim the AK-47. And now PHR is going to go ahead and restore the smoke in connector. So bomb plant will be coming through. Not really relevant, though. Obviously, the last round of the half. And only 11 health between the two of them. Nice flick from PHR onto Major. Tao goes down in amongst it. Not too far off the second flick either. But surely his days are numbered now. With smokes down, it just takes one bullet. One stray bullet will end his life. And he's going to be swept on by Xantares. 11-4. The half will go to Space Soldiers.
Very, very confident now, coming off the back of that bit of a failure in the previous map here for Space Soldiers. It's nice to see them find their footing once again, but AGO looking pretty silent here. Aside from a few CZ rounds where they had close post plants on that B bomb site and a couple of rifle rounds here and there, actually only one. I mean, that, yeah, not a huge successful round for it, half, sorry, for AGO. So hoping to see a little bit more in the second half, but Vince, so much of this is going to come down to that pistol round. It's, again, same as that previous map, right? If Space Soldiers win this pistol round, they are, in theory, going to be up to 14-4. And yeah, okay, a comeback is doable for AGO, but they can't afford to make any mistakes.
That's exactly it. Pretty much do or die once again. I know the AGO CT side is pretty solid. I think Snatchy is one of those kind of AWPers that does typically do very well when he's more of a static AWPer when playing on the CT sides. I think T side, he has to be more aggressive. And we saw a couple rounds he was being very aggressive out of A main, getting in amongst the sort of frags. But on CT side, they're going to have to come to him. And that's where I think Snatchy does definitely step it up a level. If they can get their economy set up in place to get AWPs consistently, then yes, AGO can certainly come back from this scoreline. But it all has to start off the pistol round. I've noticed that Snatchy's ping, by the way, is all over the place. It's currently resting around 80.
Oh.
Just before it was up to 120, so maybe that's the reason we're waiting a little bit longer.
We did have him DC as well from the server earlier, combined with the fact that he's missed some pretty weird shots considering his recent form. That may offer a bit of an explanation as to why he's been struggling this game. And that is not what you want on train as well. Your AWPer, arguably one of your better players, is not feeling it or not able to play because of technical issues. That's a problem, and it may hinder AGO on this comeback here in the second half if they do so attempt it, because going into that second pistol round now for the map. Engine on the utility, full armor for the rest of Space Soldiers, and a fairly default buy with a kit smoke on AGO. What will Space Soldiers throw in here? We could just be seeing a fast B play with that smoke towards a connector, or even to get them.
Which is very important, as now Grubby is going to land himself a frag onto Centaurus. Meanwhile, Snatchy gets the better of Major, and so the B hit is pretty much completely squashed. It's down to Paz with his Glock. He's spinning around, he's landing headshots here, there, and everywhere, and now Snatchy's able to come around from the side. Really should be landing that frag, but gets the flick onto Calyx anyway, and maybe able to make amends with another headshot, but it was looking pretty bad there. Snatchy missed quite a few shots on that side.
And Paz has been playing so well as well, so after seeing him get those first two openers, I was surely expecting him to close that out, but good work from Snatchy. 80 ping king here. Not quite got the same ring to it, but it'll do. We've got the rifles coming in, but limited in terms of utility here for the side of AGO. And Space Soldiers, I like this. They're not fully forcing. This is a half the Eagle buy with no armor. It's going to be one of two things. They can either do this 2 rounds in a row in terms of buying Deagles up and just no armor, or they can just eco that third round and have a full buy when it comes to the next. So we'll see how Space Soldiers choose to approach it. It will vastly depend on the outcome of this round, I'm sure. But let's see if they can get any opening kills up against these SMG players, potentially. There's a lot of firepower here for Space Soldiers, despite not having the Kevlar to keep these men standing.
That's the classic, the good old deco. Something you don't see too often. Desert Eagle eco. And Centaurus is going to be peering out first with his deagle. So many times over the last few days, we've seen him land these 1Ds time and time again on entries, especially on the T side. And now it's Major's turn. You can see the shadow protruding around the corner. PHR is going to be very fortunate to survive on 50 health. He may have another crack at this frag, though. Major crosses to A main. Going to end in a bit of a stalemate, but of course, keep in mind that Space Soldiers do retain the player advantage as a result of that. There is no grenades, though, for Space Soldiers, so even though they have the player advantage, it's going to have to be a raw, dry push onto the side. Furlan should be getting some kills, but no, there's too many angles for him to watch by himself, and he had nobody else to help him out. This is looking great for Space Soldiers now. They're at least going to get a bomb plant.
Oh, and another catch from Xantares. He finds Tao walking out of the CT spawn, completely blindsided. 2 men left up for AGO, and it's all just gone completely haywire. They've got to save. They've got to give it up. Space Soldiers win their 12th round off the back of minimal investment. And we did say the outcome of their next buy depends vastly on the result of this one. And with them winning it, I think they're going to have a lot of money to play with, Vince. AGO are going to be really sitting on the back foot here after winning the pistol round. And now it's really coming down to Space Soldiers doing so well in these second rounds. I think that's 3 out of 4 pistols they've lost and still won the second round of course, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Definitely sounds about right. And, well, I mean, this is almost a worst-case scenario for AGO than if they'd just lost the pistol. Because now their economy is in completely dire shape. It's not going to recover for a couple of rounds. You assume that they're going to go for a force buy here, with a couple of players around $1,400. Space Soldiers have a great booming economy, taking the FAMAS and an M4 across from AGO in the previous round. And if AGO lose this, they're going to be 12-5 behind, looking like 14-5 maybe even 15-5, depending on how they manage their economy. Towers straight down instantly, and Space Soldiers already cruising towards that third map. Calyx for the second.
Easy stuff so far for Space Soldiers. These pistols of AGO are not having the same effect that the Turkish brought with them. Furlan trying to lock down Ivy. 1 shot coming through. Second man in line. Xantares is going to win the duel. And with that, much of the hope here of winning the round now resides on PHR. He's got to go big, does kick it off and grab himself a FAMAS to play with, but he's just being sandwiched in the sandwich. Players coming in from all angles, and there's 3 men locking down his position. Xantares again winning that duel, and Snatchy just going to be caught on the rotate. So it's Space Soldiers 13-5, and this is seeming unstoppable here for the Turkish team. Both halves just doing fantastically.
Any doubts we had after Cash, I think, have been well and truly swept aside. It's a thing of the past. In the back of our minds, AGO again can't really afford to buy here. This would be suicide, so they're going to hold off. Space Soldiers really should be taking a 14-5 lead. What happened there at spawn? 3 players have been tagged.
Is that a grenade? Maybe bouncing off the roof or something if they were throwing it? I missed that.
Yeah, same. I assume that probably is the case then. Someone's threw a derp nade, and seeing as Engine is the only player that didn't have a nade, I think Calyx just tossed his out. Maybe Engine is the culprit.
Ooh. Keep our eyes on him. AGO, though, this is an awkward round. Full setup towards B, and Space Soldiers just walking down Ivy. It will take them about 5 more seconds till they realise this site is completely empty. And from then on, it's party time here on the A-bomb site. Plant can come through, and I think they're starting to realise now AGO have not a man in sight. With the bomb plant down, there's only, well, a PT-50 and 4 defaults here for AGO to try and get back into the round. Really, if you're AGO here, you just sit on B and wait for Space Soldiers to come to you. You know you can catch them off guard with some off angles rather than walk into Space Soldiers setting up. Because you know they're going to start hunting. Xantares flicks back for 2. And while the trade does come in, it's minimal damage done by AGO, and by and large, Space Soldiers are going to be pretty happy with the outcome of that.
Yeah, monstrous stuff by Xantares, and AGO building to this point. Double AWPs in play. Snatchy and Tao got 1 apiece. Both actually have decent spawns for A. Snatchy could even, if he does want to go up ramp, you sometimes see AWPers go for these hyper-aggressive plays. The option was there for him, but he decides against it. He's going to be going into connector, and Tao watching A main from the back of Ivy. And here's some Molotovs being tossed down on box halls. Engine taking control. There's going to be no aggression anytime soon up there. Elsewhere, though, AGO taking pretty forward positions. You can see that PHR quite aggressive just behind the E-box. Watching Pop Dog. And Space Soldier's not really budging an inch. I feel like this is going to be a slower paced round.
Hey, as slow as you like it. If it wins them that 15th and almost guarantees them that 3rd map, that's not a problem. Already PHR dead. Space Soldiers starting to tick the boxes to find this 15th. The Orb's not yet been spotted here for AGO. And with the smoke down on Ivy, Tau is cancelled out of this one. It's just going to be Groovy to lock down this position. And Space Soldiers, the majority of them, walking in towards B. So this position from Calyx has baited so much attention from AGO, but it doesn't seem to matter because this is just going to be a full-out B play. There's dual one on the flanker, but right now, Space Soldiers are walking into a nearly empty site. Only Furlan here to put up a defense with no utility left for AGO. It's gunfights, and they have to be won. There's the first, but it fails. Only Engine taking that kill, and Space Soldiers looking to find 15.
And with that Molotov landing on Connector, I think that pretty much is the red light in the eyes of HO. They're going to try and say, or are they? They're actually coming back in. And it's a bit of a lack of communication because, I mean, you can see that Tau is out of there. He's already decided that he wants no part of this. In fact, it's actually not Tau, whereas the other two players are still stuck on B side.
I don't really know about that one. I think that's a 14-5 scoreline move right there. That's a don't give a damn move. And yeah, the round not going to go too well. Tau trying to save the Orb, does hit a shot, but he's not going to be able to get the follow-up. And Snatchy, he saves a gun, but Vince, at a 15-5 scoreline, I've got to say that's a very small consolation.
Indeed, that is certainly a drop in the ocean. It's not really going to change a great deal. And for those of you curious, by the way, Dust 2 would be the final map.
Ooh.
If Space Soldiers can convert one of the next 10 rounds, which you certainly assume that they can.
Nah.
It looks like we're heading across the Dust 2 here, Hugo. You're a believer still? You think?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, this game's going on, Vince. There's nothing that can convince me that. No, okay, obviously not. This is yeah, this is looking pretty done. We do have the Mag 7 though, so anything is possible with the right shotgun. Into Pop Dog it goes, already popping off. Xantara's body hits the floor. See if he can get any more.
Well, it's one of the better starts that AGO have had in quite some time. A free kill. Like 7 really tailor-made for positions like Pop Dog. And speaking of that, PHR has been wrecked by Paz.
He even pulled out his knife. I think he was actually trying to walk backwards, but because he was in the corner, he was walking back into the wall. That's what it seemed like to me. Like he pulled out the knife for the mobility. I don't know though. Either way, yeah, this is starting to look very, very difficult for AGO. They may have deep IV control, but apart from that, really no information, and that doesn't even sell them too much because it's still going to be this A play. And as far as they're aware, Ivy's clear, so they may even be hinting to think it's a B or a late B execute. Furlan sitting up in heaven. He's waiting for exactly that, but Space Soldiers are just taking their time.
Not too much time left, though. Just over 30 seconds. Now they're going to start to move out. Tau with his MP9. Close range, can hear the pitter-patter of footsteps. There's one kill. They'll try and trade his attention, but he pulls the flash out. And that's his life. That's been made forfeit. Furlan 1 on 3. An extra smoke. He's going to have to push through it, Shooty 2K style. And wrecked. So Dust 2 is where we're heading after all. 1-1. This best of 3 evenly placed.
Yeah, no real fight back from AGO in that second half. A bit of a shame to see it go so one-sided, but they got the pistol round. It was looking good for the comeback until Space Soldiers won that full Deagle round, and yeah, that is as clean as you would like it for Space Soldiers. 2 dominant maps, both being won by the opposition's map pick. And now we're going to be heading to what is typically known as the equal ground for many, many teams right now. So join us after the break. Dust 2, third and final map. Winner of this going to be facing off against the winner of Heroic versus 3D Max to qualify for DreamHack Master Stockholm. So we'll see you in just a minute.
Back with the ankle there. This should be impossible for Louis. That's a nice flick, though. And he's got to find Hobbit off to the left. Oh! What is that flip from Draken? Golden with the Molotov.
if there was a DreamHack PC? What if we told you there is? This is the DreamHack PC, built with the best components on the market, optimized for a flawless esports experience. Just add games.
Is all we needed. Taking second chances till we bleed. And when all the love had been depleted, we had but no choice to concede. As the stars were dancing in their line, as though we could never run. Oh, they were dancing way up high. Stars were dancing in their line.
Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to our third and all-important deciding map between AGO, Esports, and Space Soldiers. I'm Vince. I'm actually alone now. Hugo had prior commitments, so he's darted off. Thank you very much to him for helping out. And I believe in the next best of three, we will have Scrawny helping me out. So you have that to look forward to. Additionally, but for the time being, I'm going to be flying solo. So I'm going to be using you guys as my co-casters, interacting with chat a little bit more in the slow periods. But that being said, the winner of this map progresses through to face off against Heroic, who did knock out 3D Max 2-0 in the other lower bracket match. Let's get into the thick of the action, though, as Engine already opening his account on Dust 2. The previous maps no longer matter. It's all on the here and the now. In the meanwhile, though, Zantares, Glock in hand, going to be seeing if he can take some heads off shoulders. Tau with a flashbang. In fact, I think that may have been a decoy instead, and it's done the damage at the very least in terms of headshots being delivered onto Calyx. Zantares is still in the same position. Bomb's been sprawled out into the open. Now, Snatchy's all that remains, but not for too much longer. Everybody, actually, on Space Soldiers picked up a kill. So, pretty even dispersal of frags and carrying the burden of the pistol round. Space Soldiers winning. I believe they actually won the knife and they decided to go the T side, which is pretty interesting. A lot of teams do prefer the CT side. But hoping to rack up a whole bunch of rounds as early as possible and break the economy of AGO. There's a scout for Tau. Rest of his team come through with pistols, as you'd expect. And Grubby actually not investing anything into this. He's still got $1,500 in his back pocket. So, who do you reckon is going to win, guys? We are into the third map. It's effectively a best of one at this stage. Do you think Space Soldiers or AGO? I know there's a lot of Space Soldiers fans in chat, so I'm expecting to see a lot of SSs raining out in Twitch in a few moments' time. In terms of how round two started, it's been pretty one-sided in favor of Space Soldiers, but Furlan has landed a CZ frag. I don't think you'd expect Major out of the corner. A jumping MP7 headshot. You hate to see that if you're AGO, but you're loving it if you're Space Soldiers. Why is that still in the game? Major has been tagged down and finally finished off by Tau. And with the bomb transitioning across to A, I do think that AGO will probably just save. As scouts into the next round would not be bad at all. It's not going to be followed up by a great deal. There's also a P250, I believe, in the mix. But it is indeed going to be the save. Snatchy's also got himself an AK-47, so that's a nice cherry on top. But Space Soldiers will take a 2-0 lead. They had a very poor cash. Never really got rolling in it. Their CT side was a bit of a horror show, constantly having their economy reset. Maybe that's one of the reasons they wanted to start T side. So they could try and inflict as much pain and suffering onto AGO right off the bat. Has Paz named all of his weapons I'm feeling, thank you? Is he literally done that? He's got his knife named it. His AK's named it too. He's fully embracing the meme, I guess. Am I sure both teams aren't backed? Guys. Come on, cuz. They ain't cheating. It's not happening. I'd imagine that Paz is feeling a bit better than thank you at this point. As his side start off with a 2-0, which should be a 3-0. There is some firepower, though, and some hurdles. Some banana peels that they may slip over with the AK and the Scout and the CZ. PHR using his P250 down on short. Looks like Tau could be in the thick of it pretty shortly with his Scout, as long as being occupied by Space Soldiers. Calyx trying to tap himself a couple of headshots. Smoke has been deployed. That's going to screen the rest of his team the ability to move back into mid. PHR has pushed down, but with just the P250, it was hopeful at best. And Taras is holding the close angle. Mac 10 spray. 3 kills in quick succession. Money in the bank. As Antares realizes that it was only a CZ on the floor, so he can't keep control of the Mac 10 after all. Tau may have some kills coming in, but no, of course not. Zantares with the 4K. His money's already spiked up to $7,000. And I'm sure he'll trade across for an AK now. I think Major will be taking the AWP. Of course, Dust 2 is a map where you desperately need the AWP as soon as possible. And I did get a lot of picks yesterday on Dust 2 down mid. Interestingly enough, AGO had enough funds for an AWP on both Furlan and Snatchy, but they decide to go for M4s instead so they can get more utility and more Kevlar. And it looks like the reason why is because they're stacking A hard. They're going to fight for long control. It's a bit of a gamble, but it's paying off. Furlan and Grubby both get themselves kills onto Zentaras and Calyx respectively. And this is a really ballsy play because it effectively leaves Tau by himself on the B side. But Paz is now ripped out with 2 of his own kills, and it's starting to crumble for AGO. They had everything going their way early on. How the actual hell have they let this round slip away? After an A-long stack into 2 quick kills, they suddenly find themselves with their backs against the wall. And this would be a horrendous round to lose. This would be the first rifle round going across the Space Soldiers. And as I highlighted earlier, with AWPs being so incredibly important on this map, if your economy is getting broken down from the CTs early on, you're basically going to have no AWP for the next 2 or 3 rounds. They may be able to get one in the next round, actually, depending on how they prioritize the buy in this one. If they go too hard on pistols, they could end up being in a pretty rough position. We'll have to wait and see. Nah, I think they're going for more of a minimal buy, which is understandable. So they will be able to get AWPs in the next round. But that would mean that their first AWPs would be coming in round 6. That's pretty damn rough. Grubby sees that in hands, tapping himself for kill onto Paz. But there is a counteractive play. The Avenging Frag comes into fruition, and A-Long will be taken with it. Very aggressive plays, though. Have a quick look at the map. Both PHR and Tau have made moves behind the terrorists. They're already getting pretty close. I think the T's will know this, though. Calyx has gone through with Major. P250, good for 1 kill. But where is Tau? He needed to help his teammate out. Finally, he comes in with a kill of his own, but round the backside is Zentares. The trade still keeping in favor of Space Soldiers. Snatchy's P250, maybe. You can get a quick fire headshot, but with both Space Soldiers being very healthy at 100 apiece, there's no easy kill here for Snatchy. No easy way of bringing this back to a 1v1. Mac 10 picked up. It's not good enough for Snatchy. Oh, and he actually goes for the shots. I feel like he could have waited and maybe moved into long afterwards and repositioned, but he felt confident enough in his own ability with the P250 to shoot a bit preemptively. And, well, the round is lost. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. The fact is it's 5-0. And it's not going to be just the 1-up, it's going to be 2. But the first time that we're seeing this picked up for AGO. The way that AGO managed to get round the back of Space Soldiers, you certainly felt like that round was winnable. But it's all about this one now. No 4-player stack A-long shenanigans. This time of asking, it's going to be the standard 2 players, Snatchy and Grubby, have an AWP and an M4. Meanwhile, PHR playing more above the CT, actually in CT now with an HE, tosses that into mid, does a bit of damage, but it's negligible onto Zentares, only 19. Furman's going to be looking down from the scaffolding just outside of B site, and that leaves Tau by himself on B. Setting up for an A hit. Smokes out. First one's going to be tossed so that it's going to screen their push. Some teams will go for a run boost across here, so AGO have to be very careful. Because they've gone for 2 AWPs, though, they actually have no HEs or incendiaries. Typically, a lot of teams on CT would like to throw a nade or 2 up onto short at this stage. They don't have the utility to support that. Major's going to find Furlan as he tries to cross mid. Hasna, meanwhile, goes for another frag, and there is Major. It's all spiraling out of control for AGO. They're still yet to get around on the board. Only the 1 kill onto Engine. And Snatchy now Has to try and somehow save this up. See if he can do a bit of damage on the way out. It's taking damage. He's on 1 health, by the way. A gust of wind were taken down at this stage, and it's Antares that delivers the fatal blow. 6-0 start. Space Soldiers are off to the races. They're looking very good indeed. And collectively, AGO only have 11 kills. That's all they have. And Antares, to put it in context, has 8 by himself. Just to show you how dominant this has been thus far for the Turkish side. It's not going to get any easier. AGO looking to stack grenades into long. Do plenty of damage. Somehow nobody dies from Space Soldiers. I feel like that was 3 or 4 grenades tossed in. At 4 players along, it's only Tau that's in tunnel by himself. Speaking of the man, he's just been plucked out by Calyx. So 6 will turn into 7. Centaurus moves on to 10 kills. Has just been silenced, courtesy of Snatchy's P250. But Snatchy, not long for this world. Major, last bullet of the magazine. Connects to the forehead. 7-0 start. So I'd ask any AGO fans in chats, for anyone that said that they felt like AGO would win this map, would you like to change your minds? I'm going to give you this opportunity if you want to jump ship over to SS instead, the Space Soldiers. I wouldn't blame you. This has been a horrible start for the Polish side. No? You're still completely certain that AGO have got this in the bag. Well, do you know what? I admire your loyalty. I don't agree with you, but I admire your loyalty. Couple of shots have missed on both sides, to be fair. Paz and Tau trade, but there's Major back onto Tau once more. The player advantage intact, alive and well. Molotov down onto window, just to make sure that no CTs push in. Snatchy is hating his life. Centaurus in the perfect place, at the perfect time. And as soon as Snatchy tries to make a move from car, it's a free frag, and it's another round. I mean, this could end up being one of the quickest maps of CS you've ever seen in your life. Because at the moment, it does not look like AGO could buy a round if they had enough money. PHR, the lone survivor, witnessing the bloodshed of all his comrades around him. And now he has to try and save the M4. And I think he'll be successful. Doesn't seem like any T's are going to get close to him, apart from Calyx. It is a must-needed M4 too. They have very little funds in the next round. And of course he gets wrecked, doesn't he? He gets absolutely wrecked. Caster, I am Vince. What's up? How you doing? Was joined by Hugo earlier. Definitely go show him some love. Hit him up on Twitter. But he had to head out. He had some commitments that he had to take care of. So we've got Scrawny coming in next. The next best of 3, which is looking like it's going to be Space Soldiers versus Heroic, unless AGO can pull off a Herculean comeback. So a scout, some pistols, and a prayer. And that's all AGO are living on right now. Pass straight through. Nice smoke being deployed into CT. Totally isolating the player on short from the rest of his team. And sure, AGO have inflicted a little bit of damage, a couple of casualties across in Major and Calyx, but it doesn't really matter a great deal. They've got enough money to swim in if they wanted to. Plenty of $100 bills in the back pockets. And there's the spray. Laboured, but he got the job done eventually. Engine onto Tau. And have a look at that money. 2 players on 16k. Major had 15k. Everybody, even after fully purchasing every weapon they could possibly hope for, have over $10,000 each. Mr. Moneybags on Space Soldiers. Smoke deployed so that AGO could cross to B site. And the trade's going in favor of Space Soldiers once again. They're not playing around. They had an awful cash, but since then, it's been one-way traffic to the Turks. And it's getting better as time goes on. Major onto Tau. Furlan in CT spawn. And again, you have this feeling that it's just not going to go their way. It's one of the best chances, ironically enough, even in a 1-on-2, that AGO have had to get around. And no, not going to happen. I'm guessing by the spam I'm seeing in chat that you Turkish guys are pretty happy right now. Understandable. The Polish woes continue. You guys haven't been doing too well in the World Cup and not too well here on Dust 2. Feels bad, man. At least you could be rest assured it's not as bad as Germany, though. Meanwhile, Centaurus with another quick 2. And AGO are going to see if they can get Furlan in amongst the action. Major didn't want to hit him. MP9 bullets to the back of the head. But the bomb's already been planted on. And Grubby with this M4 goes to town. Centaurus, though, he's not going to miss his chance. He's on 17-5, by the way. He was quite quiet yesterday and earlier today, but he's back. The Terminator is feeling it once again. What a one-tap that is by Calix. That is pristine aim. Pass to the final kill. 11-0. And there really just isn't much to talk about in this game, guys. Like, what could I possibly say? The score tells you everything you need to know. You've been watching and witnessing this brutalizing beatdown that AGO have been receiving. The auto sniper just rubbing salt in the wounds. It's like you felt bad before. Oh, that's a rough shot. Back of Calix. You felt rough earlier. Have an auto sniper shot through the doors of mid. Get completely wrecked. Desperate plays through on short side into mid will be dealt with swiftly and without any kind of mercy. Paz, the only player to fall. As we move into round 13, collectively, AGO have 23 kills to their name. Centaurus, 17 by himself. AGO would love themselves as Centaurus right about now. Here comes the auto spray once again. A 1-for-1 trade. Furlan aggressively peeking through mid. Fair enough. Gets the kill, but he's down instantly afterwards. Centaurus onto Tau. None of these trades are going their way. Grubby with his FAMAS. He's able to get the spray down, but they've got to be careful because the bomb carrier of Major is still sat in T-spawn, peering across the long doors alongside Paz. So if they overstayed their welcome, they would have been dead. PHR in mid again. It feels like he's pushed mid a good 4 or 5 times now. It's getting a bit telegraphed. I could understand in previous rounds when they have pistols or they're 2 or 3 players behind, but when you're in a 3-on-3, there's no need for him to push up mid. That is playing into the wheelhouse of AGO. Snatchy 1-on-2 has been spotted, has been sprayed. Here's another statistic you don't hear very often. The top fragger on AGO with 9 kills still has less than every single player on Space Soldiers. The minimal kills they have on Space Soldiers, Engine on 10. But every player on AGO is being outfragged by every player on Space Soldiers. Every single metric you could ask for, AGO are being shredded. And it's all Ogre, or is it actually? Because Furlan CZ has came up with 2 brisk kills, but it could be a drop in the bucket. The bomb's been dropped out, though. Okay. The best chance AGO have had. They're not going to allow the 16-0 dream to come into play. Engine 1-on-3 has been fragged. Welcome, AGO, to the scoreboard. It took you a while, but you got here. Will there be a second round to follow it up on this half? Being destroyed through mid. Furlan down to 40. Quick peek from Calix. He did get a shot somehow. That seemed ridiculously quick, especially considering those 2 players set up. A 1-for-1 trade, all things considered, is very impressive for Space Soldiers, but Furlan has gone in once again. He was pretty much the main man in the previous round that saw them get around on the board. But Xantares, having no chill, popping the head through the doors of mid. All three Space Soldiers players going to move together now as a united force. That's an awful flash by Snatchy. Bounces back. He was looking to pop it out of mid, and instead, it's going to cost him and the rest of his team dearly. Oh my goodness, that flash was awful. I'm not sure if you picked that up on stream, but I'm kind of hoping for Snatchy that you didn't. You didn't. So basically, he was running down towards CT. He tried to flash it through the smoke. It bounced off the wall and landed in his own face. And that pretty much sums up how it's gone for AGO. Just a flash into your own face. Rest in pepperonis. It's all over. So, Space Soldiers just need 2 more rounds to secure their spots in the lower bracket finals. Well, that will be coming up next. That is against Heroic. That's another best of 3, of course. And the winner of that match will qualify for DreamHack Masters Stockholm, which has at the beginning of September. So I think Space Soldiers probably will be the favorites if they go against Heroic to beat Heroic. Heroic have been pretty solid lately, though. And, well, Major is teeing off onto B. It's a no-go zone for AGO. And Paz is also laying down the law in mid. PHR and Snatchy both very low. PHR last player left alive. He's got 3 players to find and kill. And he will stumble on the first hurdle. And that pretty much is a done deal. That was their last lifeline. Their last glimmer of hope. Space Soldiers ain't playing around. Gonna be a scout. 3 CZs and a Desert Eagle. The only roadblock to try and stop this juggernaut that is plowing through them for the time being. Meanwhile, Space Soldiers go for a pretty heavy investment on his assault rifles, realizing there's going to be a lot of Kevlar. Don't want to take their chances with SMGs for the time being. That nade's going to do a lot of damage to Tao. Not to just over 50. Major elsewhere is doing damage. Xantares comes in with one of his own. And boot up the next best of 3, ladies and gents, because this is all over. PHR goes down alongside 2 of his teammates, and Space Soldiers will take the map 16-1 in dominant fashion. After losing the first map, the next 2 were theirs, and convincingly so. And as I said before, they will now go across to face off against Heroic in the lower brackets finals. So we are going to cut to a break, ladies and gents, and we'll be back. I'm not sure how long it will take. Obviously, Space Soldiers will need to have a little bit of a break before they jump into another best of 3. So I'd assume it's probably going to be 20 or 30 minutes. That would be my guess. We'll give you updates if we find out anything different. Any more information comes, we'll give you it. But we will be live again pretty shortly for the last best of 3 to see who qualifies in EU Masters qualifier here. Also, there is an NA portion later on this evening, so that should be mentioned that there will be NA stuff going on too. But for the time being, guys, we're going to cut back to a break. We'll see you shortly.
Back with the ankle. Yeah, this should be impossible. But that's a nice flick, though. And he's got to find Hobbit off to the left. Oh! What is that flip from Draken?
Golden with a Molotov down will try and find them up a bit of time to get across and slight Nigers.
What if there was a DreamHack PC? What if we told you there is? This is the DreamHack PC, built with the best components on the market, optimized for a flawless esports experience. Just add games.
It's who I am.